Manager suspects her employee might be stealing, but when she investigates, she is surprised by what she discovers. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. Camila, a young woman, worked at a bustling bakery in her town. She had only recently secured the job and was delighted because, after the pandemic, her financial situation had become very difficult. The bakery was run by Mrs. Teresa, a stern but fair woman, alongside her son Pedro, who was training to take over management. Camila always arrived just on time, but she was always the last to leave, and because of this, Mrs. Teresa never reprimanded her. However, Pedro would often remind her that punctuality was crucial if she wanted to keep her job. Camila was mainly responsible for handling the cash register, but on busy days, she would also assist with baking or cleaning up. Mrs. Teresa and her son didn't just watch. They also took on various tasks. One day, Teresa noticed that the budget wasn't balancing, with a certain amount of money missing almost every day. She rechecked the numbers but found the same discrepancy. With only a handful of employees in the bakery, Teresa couldn't think of anyone who might be taking the money. She even considered the possibility that her son was responsible, but dismissed it as he typically left early and wasn't in charge of the register. Teresa's suspicion then turned toward Camila. The next morning, Teresa kept a close eye on all the employees, especially Camila, but she didn't notice anything unusual. After rechecking the day's earnings, she saw that, once again, money was missing. She reviewed not just that day but the entire month and realized that on a couple of days, she had made calculation errors, but on others the amounts didn't match. Exhausted and stressed, she decided to let the matter rest for now. The next day, Teresa asked her son Pedro to call the employees and give them the day off, using the excuse that she wasn't feeling well. Camila found it odd since the bakery could easily run without Teresa being there. Days went by, and Teresa noticed strange behavior from Camila. Whenever she was assigned a task away from the register, she would step outside for a few minutes. On those days, Camila left with a full tote bag, claiming she was heading to her evening classes. Teresa then realized that the days when the budget didn't balance coincided with the days Camila managed the register. Teresa thought long and hard and cried when she came to the conclusion that Camila might be the one stealing from the bakery. The next day, at closing time, Teresa offered to give Camila a ride to her classes. Camila was startled because Teresa had never offered to drive her to class before, only to the nearest bus stop. Camila tried to decline several times, but Teresa was insistent. They left the bakery and got into the car. Camila was clearly uneasy, fidgeting in her seat. She then pretended to receive a message from a friend, claiming that her class had been cancelled. Teresa calmly suggested taking her home instead. Camila tried to refuse again, but Teresa quietly continued driving toward her home. They both sat in silence during the ride. Camila noticed the serious and sad expression on her boss's face but said nothing. When they arrived at her small apartment, Teresa realized it was in a modest but clean neighborhood. Suddenly, Teresa grabbed Camila's tote bag and offered to carry it inside. Camila once again said nothing and simply nodded. Teresa entered the apartment and saw that Camila lived with her elderly aunt. Camila explained that her parents had passed away when she was young, and she now cared for her aunt, who was 82 and mostly bedridden. A family friend who lived nearby would come over to help while Camila was at work. Teresa was taken aback, as she hadn't known about Camila's situation. Without waiting for permission, Teresa opened the tote bag. Inside were only loaves of bread and pastries wrapped in napkins, items that would otherwise be thrown away at the end of the day. Camila broke down in tears and apologized, but Teresa asked her to listen. Teresa explained that she already knew Camila had been taking leftovers from the bakery, but it was only items that would be discarded anyway. She then revealed that on the day she closed the bakery and gave everyone the day off, it was to install discreet cameras to monitor what was happening. Teresa had noticed that when Camila was assigned other tasks, she would take the opportunity to collect the leftover food and pack it in her bag. Camila explained that her aunt's pension barely covered her medication, and she also tried to help the family friend who was currently unemployed. She confessed that she didn't want to resort to taking the leftovers but felt compelled to do so out of necessity. The food was still good and could be repurposed as a meal for those who needed it. By taking it home, she ensured that her aunt had fresh meals while she and her friend made do with the leftovers, allowing her to save money, pay rent, and buy supplements for her aunt. Camila also admitted that she wasn't really attending classes but had lied about it so Teresa wouldn't offer her a ride, as she felt guilty about the situation. Moved by Camila's story, Teresa took her hand and led her to the car. Teresa opened the trunk, revealing several grocery bags she had brought. She had done a large shopping trip for Camila. Teresa explained that she realized Camila was an honest person because she never touched the fresh pastries, only the leftovers. It was clear that someone who does this is acting out of necessity, not malice. Camila was overwhelmed with gratitude and hugged Teresa. The two carried all the bags inside the apartment and spent some time talking. Camila then apologized, knowing the cameras were installed because of her. Teresa's expression turned serious as she explained that the real reason for the cameras was to identify who was stealing money from the register. The money always went missing when Camila left the register to collect the leftovers. Everything pointed to her as the culprit, but the hidden cameras revealed that another employee was taking advantage of Camila's absence to steal money. The most painful discovery was that this employee was working with Pedro, Teresa's son. Pedro had been splitting the stolen money with the employee and keeping the rest for himself. Teresa was devastated by the revelation. She couldn't understand why her son would do such a thing since he received a share of the bakery's profits. Camila, her aunt, and the family friend comforted Teresa, helping her feel better despite the difficult situation. In time, Teresa confronted her son, who admitted that he was stealing because he wanted more money for unnecessary luxuries, spending everything on parties and indulgences. Teresa decided to remove him from the bakery and asked him to move out of her house. Though it broke her heart, she felt it was the only way he could learn responsibility. She did, however, help him find a low-paying job through some connections, explaining that this was her final act of support and that he would have to build his own future from then on. She told him she would only help with essentials like food if needed, but nothing more. Pedro's life changed drastically. He could no longer afford the lifestyle he once had and had to focus on making ends meet with his limited income while working hard during the week. Camila was promoted to Pedro's former role, earning more money and no longer needing to take leftovers. Teresa also hired Camila's family friend to work at the bakery. Camila's fridge was now fully stocked, just as she had always wished, and she had enough income to hire a trusted caregiver for her aunt while her friend focused on her new job. Additionally, Camila returned to school to pursue the education she had always dreamed of, aiming for an even better future. Teresa occasionally visited Camila's apartment, as she felt at ease there, surrounded by people with good hearts. In the end, Teresa realized that, in addition to gaining a dedicated employee, she had also made a cherished friend. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story.